Hello and welcome to Let's Play Advance Wars. Today we're going to be playing Campaign Mission 7M. This battle takes place along the east coast of Blue Moon. Max says, "It looks like we'll be facing Grit next." Andy says, "Grit? Is he the one who keeps calling me Junior? Do you know him or something?" Max says, "Yeah, you could say that. He, Nell, and I used to be friends. He was always a tough one to figure out, but this Blue Moon stuff." Andy says, "Nell knows him too? Why is he working for Blue Moon?" Max says, "That's something I'd like to ask him myself. That's why you gotta let me face him, brother." Max is my only choice of CO for this mission. And he says, "Let me take care of Grit. Mission 7M, History Lesson." Day 1. Max says, "Reefs here, woods there, hiding places everywhere. Man, this place was made for Grit and his indirect combat units. I really just want to rush in and get to stomping, but the smart thing to do is to use the terrain and creep up on him. Yep, that's the best plan. Let's move out." Alright, Campaign Mission 7M. First thing we do is check the terms. Nell says, "Capture the enemy HQ or defeat all the enemy forces for victory. Good luck." Alright, this is another pretty interesting map. It's about half water, half land. I start on a narrow peninsula on the western side, and Grit owns another peninsula on the east side of the map across the water. And there's a small island in the middle. My HQ is down here in the southwest, and Grit's is in the northeast. And look how exposed his HQ is, and how it's right next to two shoal or beach tiles. That means it's very vulnerable to an amphibious landing. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to do an amphibious landing and capture Grit's HQ. Since it is Fog of War, I'm going to have to advance very carefully and be mindful of hidden artillery, rockets, battleships, all that sort of fun stuff. I start with a small land army, 2 medium tanks, a recon, and some infantry, and a pretty big navy. I have 2 landers, a cruiser, 3 submarines, and a battleship. As Max, I get 50% attack on the cruiser and the 3 submarines. So those 4 ships are going to be very powerful. The battleship suffers 1 attack range penalty, so it only shoots 2 to 5 instead of 2 to 6. And the battleship has a minus 10% attack and minus 10% defense. And Grit has just got a bunch of indirects on this map. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is move up my medium tanks. Start moving up my recon as well. Move up my APC. I can actually see a Grit artillery unit on my peninsula, and he's got a couple more land units up here in the fog as well, so I'm going to need to go and take care of that little issue. I'm going to load my mechs into one of the landers, and I'm going to start capturing these 2 cities with my infantry. My 3 submarines, I'm going to send them out carefully, making sure that I dive them to keep them safe. Although when they are dived, I have to very closely watch their fuel. Submarines start with 60 fuel and they burn 5 fuel every day that they're submerged. The battleship, I'll go ahead and just move it into range of attacking this artillery. Move up the cruiser onto the reef. Try to keep my landers close in and hidden amongst the rest of my ships. Alright, day 1 for Grit. Grit says, Well, here I am again. This whole thing don't sit well with me, but I guess I gotta stop fooling around. I figure the best way to stop these boys is to take out their lander. Yep, that'll keep them from moving those ground troops around. Reckon I'd best get started. So Grit's gonna try to come for my lander. I don't think he'll be successful, but we'll see what happens. So he moved up a submarine and positioned it right next to my submarine. I don't think he was able to fire on my submarine because he didn't know I was there until he stopped. And he has a cruiser a couple spaces back, so I have to be really careful of that cruiser. I'll go ahead and roll my medium tank forward to completely just vaporize Grit's tank on the road. 127% predicted damage. Go ahead and turn that enemy tank into a cloud of dust. And I'll move up my other medium tank to smack around this infantry on the road a little bit. You know, rough them up a little bit. And I'll use my battleship to... My battleship I'll actually move... Gotta be really careful though. I don't want the battleship to get shot by artillery. No, I'm gonna leave the battleship where it is. What's the phrase? Caution is the greater part of valor. Something like that. Alright, as for Grit's submarine, I think I'm able to one-hit his submarine with mine. No, not quite. My submarine does 82% damage against Grit's submarine. So we'll have a little Cold War style submarine on submarine battle here. I reduce his to 2 and he inflicts 0 on counterattack. I'll move up my other submarine and finish her off. Bloop. Destroyed. Move my recon up a little bit. Take my battleship and just shoot at this enemy artillery, or enemy infantry, reducing it to 2. It's not great, but, you know, battleship's gotta do something. Next turn. Day 2 for Grit. Oh, he's almost ready to get his power. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Move my recon up. Oh, look at that. Destroy the 2 hit point infantry, but it also reveals the location of 2 of his artillery pieces. So I can move my medium tank up and turn this one into a cloud of vapor. Boom. And then I'll just make sure that this one is not able to fire on anything when he gets his power next turn. Because Grit is definitely getting his power next turn. Alright, I think this is enough separation. Make sure he can't shoot at anything. Well, he'll shoot at the recon and destroy it, unfortunately. Alright, I'm going to see if I can destroy anything else. You see, in Advance Wars, when your opponent gets his power next turn, there's no disincentive for you to just destroy whatever you want this turn, because he's already going to get his power. You might as well wreck more of his stuff, because his bar is not going to get charged anymore. Now, in later games, when you have a small power and a large CO power, you might want to not do that, in case it triggers the Super CO power or something, but in Advance Wars 1, there's only 1 CO power. So I'm going to move my submarine up and shoot at his lander, and it does a just silly amount of damage, 142% to his lander. I mean, I kind of feel bad. Kind of feel bad doing that to the lander. Move the other submarine up. And we'll go ahead and end the turn. No. Move the infantry up and end the turn. Day 3 for Grit. Well, here goes. Snipe attack. Yep, there goes my recon. Sorry, guys. Grit's not able to shoot at anything else, thankfully. Alright, so what are these submarines going to do? They can't go this way because there's a cruiser blocking the way. And I have a feeling there's a battleship up here in the northeast corner somewhere, so why don't we go see if we can find it? Oh, there it is. The battleship is going to be no match for my 2 submarines. In fact, that battleship is going to do very poorly against my 2 subs. Alright, I just destroyed Grit's artillery on my peninsula. And I don't think he has any more military units on my peninsula. Go ahead and move my lander up. Move my other medium tank up. Move up my APC. And I think I'll sail my battleship up too. Maybe I'll get a chance to shoot at this cruiser with it. Day 4 for Grit. And he chooses to do nothing. Alright, well. Let's go ahead and solve this battleship problem in the northeast here. The first submarine comes in and does 80% damage against the battleship. Boom. Completely crippling it. And then the second submarine comes in and gives it the old Wolfpack treatment. Destroyed. Ganged up on by 2 submarines at once. Alright. So I have my lander here with 2 mech infantry in it. I am going to want to land my medium tanks on Grit's Peninsula first. That way I can clear out any enemy tanks and artillery and other dumb stuff that might be waiting for me on Grit's side of the map. Go ahead and shoot at Grit's cruiser while we're at it. Oh, reduced it to 1. Alright. Day 5. Grit's getting his power again. That's funny. He moves his tank to the beach to shoot at my cruiser, and it does nothing. 0 damage inflicted. Good job, Grit. You moved your tank to a beach and shot at my cruiser and did nothing. Alright. I kind of admire the kind of admire him for doing that. My submarines are getting low on fuel, so I'm going to surface them up here. When they're surfaced, they only burn, I think it's 1 unit of fuel per day. Yep. So they have enough fuel to stay alive for 10 more days, so it should be good. Go ahead and move my first lander over to Grit's Peninsula and offload my 2 medium tanks. I'll go ahead and shoot at that ballsy tank on the beach with my battleship, reducing it to 4. My submarine in the south hasn't had much to do, so I'll send it forward kind of as a scout to see if there's anything down here. And I can't see anything at all. The 4 hit point tank shoots at my cruiser and actually damages it. Takes a hit point off. I don't know, in real life, could a tank shoot at a cruiser and actually hurt it? I think it could. I think if the cruiser was close enough to the tank and the tank shot at it, it could actually put a hole in it, but I'm not an expert. I don't know. Move my medium tanks forward, and hopefully they're not going to be cut to pieces by artillery. Drop off my 2 mechs right next to Olaf's HQ. With my battleship, I'll go ahead and finish off this tank here. I do salute him for having the creativity to attack my cruiser. I have my power ready, but there's not really any purpose to using it right now, so I'll just hold off. Day 7 for grit. Oh, there's a tank. 2 tanks moving forward. Alright. Go ahead and start the HQ cap. I want to avoid triggering Grit's power again, but he's not anywhere close to getting it again, so there's really no downside for me to destroy this tank. First medium tank reduces it to 1. The second one completely obliterates it. Go ahead and finish off Grit's cruiser with my battleship. Alright. Successful amphibious landing so far. Grit is completely powerless to do anything about it. Go and capture this city here. Move my tank forward to, God, 127% damage. Just make that enemy tank disappear in a cloud of dust. You'll love to see it. And there's nothing else for me to do, so I'm going to cap that HQ. Max says, "Okay, Grit, now you're going to answer some questions. Why in blazes did you go over to Blue Moon?" Nell says, "Grit." Max says, "Nell, what are you doing here?" Grit says, "Hey there, Nell. It's been a long time." Nell says, "Max, would you leave us alone for a minute?" Max says, "Yeah, sure." Nell says, "Grit, you look well. I was worried." Grit says, "Yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you? You and Max getting along all right?" Nell says, "So that's the reason you left Orange Star. You sensed Max's feelings, and because he's your friend, you..." Grit says, "Whoa, hold on now. Let me set you straight. I did what I did because that's who I am, darling. I go where I want to go and stay where I want to stay. That's it." Nell says, "Oh, Grit says, "See you later, Nell. Take care." Nell says, "Grit, goodbye." And Max says, "Grit." Alright, some very interesting backstory for Max, Grit, and Nell. Almost seems like there was a little Advance Wars love triangle. And I got an S rank. $12 Advance Wars coins. Don't get a rank up this time. On to the save screen. Alright, so at this point we've completed missions 4M through 7M along the southern campaign path through Blue Moon. In the next video, we're going to turn back the clock and see how things play out if we choose the other fork in the road by picking Andy in Mission 4. This will take us along the northern campaign path through Blue Moon, which features entirely different maps and scenarios. That's going to wrap it up. Peace.